What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein right here on iHeartRadio, and I'm your host, Dwayne Stein, the Gulf South Mortgage Authority. This is your home show where for 9+ years been providing education and options on what is or will be your largest investment, your most valuable asset, your home. This is the home show. If you're new to the show, welcome to the Gumbo Nation. Get yourself settled in. We promise to be keep you entertained. We promise to provide you with all the knowledge you need as you move forward and try to navigate. Do I buy a house in 2024? Do I refinance? This is the place to be. On the show today, we're going to talk about shortly why. The dude is the absolute man. Nobody, I mean nobody beats him. And I'm talking about Santa Claus. We're going to talk about that. Existing home sales. We got an update on existing home sales. So guess what? Now we have a whole year of data, folks. So we're going to discuss that. Got a question to see. Do you agree with what the media is saying? I'm not sure if I do, but I want to know what your opinions are. And in our show today, so now you're under contract. Your purchase agreement, your offer has been accepted. You made that offer and it's been accepted. Okay, now what? We're going to take you through the steps of what to expect once you're under contract all the way through closing. So we've got a great show planned for you. Hey, if you want to join the show, 504-260-0995, or you can shoot an email to info@mortgagegumbo.com. Hey, the home away from the show is mortgagegumbo.com or snapsendandsave.com. So look forward to chatting with you as we go along. So look, volume is picking up. We told you this was going to happen. Volume is picking up, Gumbo Nation, on both sides. Not just purchase volume, but refinance volume as well. And I think the volume will pick up even more as you get into February and March, especially on a refinance, because the data we're about to share with you, when it comes to Christmas, this dude always wins. So we're going to get to that in a second. You know, last week in the Rue, and if you want to sign up for the Rue newsletter, you know, I do a blog there every week. And you know, all you got to do is go to mortgagegumbo.com, click on the Rue, sign up for the newsletter. It's not a bunch of propaganda, anything like that. It's just updates, what's going on, keeping you up to date on industry news and facts and all that stuff. I get it. Everybody can't tune in every week, but there's no reason why you can't with all our streaming and media stuff we do. Subscribe at YouTube, over 600 videos. But last week I kind of talked about tempering the excitement of where rates were going, because we had a big old drop off. The market reacted to it. The stock market shot up. All of a sudden people start coming out and the market starts saying the Fed's going to cut 7 times in 2024. And, you know, like they, you know, go check the tape. I was like, I don't see that. Calm down. Well, what you've got to understand, Gumbo Nation, is this, and this is why I'm advising to temper that excitement. At the end of the day, data is what we rely on. And right now, the data, it's not our friend. And we talked about this every year I've been on air. And the reason why it's not your friend, job claims, right? You always have job. You get more jobs in November and December. Why? Well, because of somebody's got to be Santa, the present wrapper, the elf, the picture taker, and all that. So you get more jobs, especially under this regime where they don't count when you lose a job, but they count when you pick up a job, part-time, all that stuff. But then retail sales. And retail sales are a sign of, well, hey, if people are out using their credit cards, is it good or is it bad? Well, the expected retail sales in December was expected to be up 0.2% this year. It came in at 0.8. For those who aren't mathematicians, if the expected was 0.2 and the actual was 0.8, that's 4 times higher than what was expected. 4 times. And I said this back in December, Santa Claus never loses. There are going to be presents under a tree at all cost. Right? Whether it's the 40-something% of people working double jobs, doing whatever, Santa Claus, presents are going to be under the tree. So now, here's my question, Gumbo Nation, I ask you when you hear that. Because what the Fed is saying, and we're seeing it with mortgage rates, and my concern is why I don't want this data to keep coming out, is not that it's going to delay rate cuts, because I think there's no way in the world, and I said it in this week's blog on the Roo, I'm almost about to double down that they will not cut rates in March. But what you've got to look at now is, what I want to ask you, Gumbo Nation, is this. Was spending up in December 4 times in retail sales, 4 times better in December? Was it better because the economy's getting better? Do you feel better? Or is it because credit card spending irresponsibly, robbing Peter to pay Paul? That's why I see an influx every single March when those bills come in at the end of January, the beginning of February for December's presents from Santa. Refinances always pick up. So that's the question I ask you. Hey, is the economy better? Or did you do your spending? Did you keep it under control? Or were you a little bit irresponsible? And are you living off of those credit cards? Santa always wins. No matter good, bad, indifferent, the dude wins. It's like Mardi Gras down here, right? You're eating king cake. Diet or no diet, you're getting some king cake. You're going to the parades. Well, it looks like the same thing happened here with retail sales. No matter what, Santa Claus won out again. So now we've got to kind of keep an eye on what are the next moves. And we saw that, and these numbers came out this week, and it triggered rates to go in the wrong direction, which we'll talk about that again. So right now, the trend is not our friend. And I'll explain in Rate Watch later on that. So still to come on the show, we have a whole year now. We're going to discuss that. We're going to let you know who's your competition out there. And then our big topic today, you're out there, you're looking for that house, and then you get on the contract. You're not supposed to know what to do. So we're going to help you. We're going to guide you on that. All right, folks, let's talk about existing home sales. Existing home sales for the year of 2023 was down 6.2% for right over 4 million units in volume. The reason why we were playing Coolio, that was the #1 song, Gangsta's Paradise, in 1995. That is the lowest amount of existing homes sold in 29 years? 29 years. And what did we tell you all last year? You got to have the existing home sales. And it's the lowest since 1995. Right? So that's why all those folks who are, I'm going to wait for rates to drop. And they are. They are. And then when rates drop, I'm going to get a house for cheaper. No, you're not. Just keeping it real. You're not. You're just not. It's a supply and demand thing, folks. And what happened in 20 and 21 is going to create challenges in inventory forever. And I know you sit there and you scratch your head and go, how? How can home prices go up? How can this and that? Folks, homes appreciated over 7% last year. Last year. With the highest rates in decades. So existing home sales, 4.09 million units. Right now, existing home sales on the market, 1 million units. 1 million. Folks, that's a 3.2 month supply. 4.6 is normal. Okay? But if you count those under contract, 440,000 are under contract. So that leaves a little over 500,000 units of existing home sales or listed. And you know, some of those you wouldn't live in. You wouldn't even want your in-laws living in them, right? So you got to look at and see where are you at there. So existing home sales is where the market, and that's why I'm going to, in a second, we're going to kind of get into what the media is saying. But where is your competition, right? We talk about it all the time. Last week we talked about pre-approved versus pre-qualified. Well, why is that important? Why is that important? I got a buyer this week that could answer that for you, who could come on a show and tell you why he should have got pre-approved versus pre-qualified because they lost out and they took another offer. But what you got to understand is, who is your competition right now? So first-time home buyers are 29% of existing home sales. So let's just round that up to one out of three. Cash is also 29%, and investors is 16%. So you take 29, you add 16 to that, you carry some numbers and it equals 45. So almost half of your competition is cash buyers and investors, who it's very, very, very hard to compete with them. So you've got to understand why the importance there. So when you're looking at that, you just got to make sure that you're seeing existing home sales is the key. And inventory, where are you, right? Next week, we'll talk about new home sales, so we'll circle back. Now remember, existing home sales means somebody's lived in that house before. It may be new to you. Next week, we'll talk about the new home sales, comes out this week. That's new construction. That means the house has never been lived in. No dog, no pets, peed on the carpet, or, nobody's used the toilet bowl before. But, I'm looking at all these articles, and this is headlines and sales and, and all this. And low rates still keep home buyers locked in, but sellers will come out of the woodwork. And, you start looking at this, and this is according to Redfin and Zillow and, all these realtor sites are saying that, people are tired of being in their house at these low rates and they're ready to make a move. So Gumbo Nation, is that how you feel? Is that how you feel? If you're one of the 88% that have below 6.5%, or the 60% below 5, or below 4, the 80% below 5, and a couple of us, 22% under 3. What is the number? What is it going to take for you to list your home? What is that number? And then, ironically, I'm telling you, folks, we're on to something here with Mortgage Gumbo. Because then at the end of the article, it says, sellers are having to sell due to divorce, debt, or having to go back to work in office. Well, what have we been talking about? 4Ds. We told you about this all last year. Because the only reason existing home sellers are selling their homes are 4Ds. That's death, divorce, debt, or distance, meaning they got to relocate or move for a job. So I don't see this. I'm a guy that's right at sub 3. I don't see me all of a sudden going, you know what, I'm just kind of tired of living in this house. Let me go get me some of this 6% rate or 6.5% rate since the rates are down. What is that number for you? I'm interested to know, right? What is that number? And I've told you a lot of home buyers are saying they're not getting into the market until the rates are 5.5 to 5. And what have we said? Good, because that's winning for you. Because guess what? When they do come out, is that the number when these sellers are going to say, hey, I'm now ready to sell? Do you think that person that's got 3%, that 60% of people who are sitting at 4% or below are going to go, hey, you know what? I'm so ready to move. I'm going to give this house away. I'm going to lose money. No, because they know what they're going to do is they're going to go upgrade and pay for more. Or even if they're downgrading, they're going to want to maximize. The whole reason you buy a home, it's a wealth building tool. They're going to want to maximize that equity, get as much cash out as possible. If you're downsizing, hey, maybe go buy something free and clear or have a very, very low rate, right? Or if you upgrade, you're going to want to use that money, put down on that new home, and keep your payment the same or lower than what you're currently paying with the, So those are the things right now that I'm just wondering how these articles are these people just needing something to talk about. Because they say they're coming out of the woodworks, and again, this is why I tell you headlines. Sellers are coming out of the woodwork. But then it says, here's the reason why they're going to, well, we've been telling you that. And the good news, hey, on that 1 million units, let's look at some good news. Year over year, that's up 4.2%. Doesn't seem like much, but hey, that's some extra homes that are hitting the market. That as we head into spring, there's going to be some opportunities. So I think as we start, these are the things that we're going to keep an eye on. This is why we talk about something. I know that you go, oh my God, existing home, man, teach us something. This is the education piece. This is letting you know what options are going to be down the road for you. This is why we don't want you to have any surprise. This is why we want to be able to prep you for what's going on and really what's coming. And right now, inventory is still tough. Inventory is still very, very tough. All right, let's get into our weekly segment we like to call Rate Watch. All right, folks, so with Rate Watch, listen, we talked about earlier, the trend right now is not our friend. And I'm going to kind of dive into it a little bit, but, we took a little bit, we told you it's going to be a little bit of a children's roller coaster, right? Well, right now we're kind of on that little roll upward, right? And last week, 30-year conventional was at 6.69. This week, 6.92, right? That's we don't want to be seeing approaching 7. We don't want to be seeing that. 15-year was 5.95. That's at 6.27. FHA 6%. That's at 6.15. Jumbo 6.98. Now at 7.25. And VA 6.02, 6.17. 5-1 arm up as well. So look, the trend right now is not our friend. But let me kind of give you a little bit of the whys, right? And I think the bond market is correcting itself. And we explained last week when you take a 10-year treasury, you add 1.75 to it. That is normally where your rates are going to be. And right now we're about 1% over that. So the bond market is correcting itself. Because when everybody came out, the bonds got excited too. That's why we saw that big drop in December. Oh, 7 rate cuts, this, that, and the other. Well, guess what? The bond market starts to see retail data. The bond market starts to see job claims. The bond market starts to see all these other things going on. Now, what's crazy to me is this. My entire life, world strife has always meant lower rates. And I'm not looking for war. I'm not looking for us to go out and get into a bunch of conflicts. But if you don't think what's going on in the Red Sea out there and stuff like that, and it is having no effect on these rates. So I don't know if that's a matter of the stock market knows that we're weak as snot over here in the U.S. or what. Because normally that has a huge effect. Because people head to the safety of the bonds, and they're not doing that right now. So what you're seeing is the bonds are taking back a little bit of their gains. There's a little bit of reality there. And they're like, all right, you know what? Hey, all these rate cuts, let's kind of sit back a little bit. Let's not hit the panic button. And those big investments aren't there right now. So that's what you've got to kind of keep an eye on. So, and they will, listen, the market's going to adjust. Again, I do not see a rate cut in March. Look, I hope I'm wrong. I want my credit card's monthly payment to go down. I like seeing 0% rates on cars.
Hey, Dwayne.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yep.
Isn't like a war economy like good for us? Like every time we
yeah.
potentially go into a war, is that possible? Like, because I mean, like talking about the Red Sea and all this other stuff that's going on with Yemen and all them, is that something that could affect that?
Absolutely. And normally it does, Dave. Normally, a conflicts, you will see the bonds go down because and be cheaper because everybody invests in those, right? So when you've got an oversupply, then it's cheaper. People, they're getting in it, so they'll take it for less money. And now we're not seeing that right now. So it's very weird. It's very eerie because the things I've watched, number one, is just how quickly everything's changing. But the factors that usually always have an effect don't. And, we talk about being political, and now there's starting to be talks about Powell not coming back for a third term, right? He was under Trump.
Right.
Now he's under Biden. And if he really is not coming back, then I think they're going to do the right. That's why I think you're not going to see 7 rate cuts. I think you're going to see him go, well, you don't need that. I mean, if you start cutting, that means things aren't good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, unless we start seeing something come on with a war and all this, it's a concern. But, then you've got this week. What are they talking about? They're fighting like crazy to turn over another $60 billion to Ukraine. Well, folks, guess what? That's inflation. That number's got to come from somewhere. National debt's over $34 trillion now. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. Absolutely bananas. All right. Did I get that, Dave? Did I handle that for you?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
bud?
I think so.
No, it's a great question,
It's funny,
man.
though, because, you got Israel,
Yeah.
saying that they're not going to be done
Yeah.
until there's no more Hamas and Gaza Strip. So it seems like we're kind of on that precipice. I found that interesting when you said that because it's like, it looks like we're sitting on the ledge again. Like, hey, maybe we're going to jump into this because the world seems to be getting antsy, man.
Well, and think about this. So as we're fighting the Houthis or whatever they are over there, right? We're fighting them, and all we're helping do is get China's oil out, right? So we can buy from right,
yeah.
and get China's supply and help all those countries that turn around, and we're fighting to help them to charge us a premium.
Hey, it's the American way.
Right. So it's kind of crazy, right? So that's where it's a little bit bananas. Absolutely bananas.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, brother. Thank you, my man, Al. Legend. Holy Cross Tiger. Appreciate you for the shout out there. Just let me know I'm doing a good job. Means a ton. Great client. All right, so let's get into, so now you're under contract. How exciting is that? You've come to Mortgage Gumbo. You're now under contract. Yeah, I mean, Now it's real. Now we're ready to buy a home. Offer is accepted. Now what? So we're going to go over some steps for you on what to do next. First step, you're under contract. And if you're working with me, I don't care if it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, any day of the week, anytime. Hey, you shoot me a text, you shoot me an email, and you let me know that your purchase agreement has been accepted. And let me tell you why that's important to me as your lender. You hear me always talking about return of your money is more important than return on. Because see, me as a lender, I actually, this is crazy, I read the contract. I read the purchase agreement to make sure that my team and I have all those important dates within the contract to make sure that they're met for you. For instance, hey, is there a lender letter needed that'll say, Joe Smith to provide proof of approval within 24 hours? So do you need a lender letter? So that way I can get that over to you. And I don't want, hey, if you get accepted on a Saturday, let's get that over to them. We don't want them to have any reason. You want to have all the control. That is what Mortgage Gumbo makes sure you as a buyer have the control throughout this. We need both parties. Talked to 2 realtors this week. Called them to congratulate them, telling them they accepted one of my buyers, 2 different listings. And they were like, you're calling me? I'm like, yeah, don't we need you as part of this? They're like, yeah, this is awesome. Thanks. So we need the listing side, but you know what? I'm on team buyer. So we're going to look at those dates, right? We're going to start looking at, hey, who's the title company that they need? When is the inspection period? And we want to just make sure that the contract, is it written? How much down payment are you putting? So if we've got to have a discussion and review monies that's got to come to closing. Is the contract written with the correct loan type? Right? Did the realtor write it up as a conventional loan and it needs to be an FHA loan? So that's why you want to make sure that you advise the lender. Number 2, and we have the total home authority, so we can help you with this. But number 2 is, hey, go dial it. Go get your insurance quotes. Okay? Now you got to start finding out about the insurance. You know if it's in a flood zone or not because they've told you that in the listing and all that kind of stuff. But now we got to start really dialing in those insurance quotes, and we'll help you with that. The next step is get that earnest money deposit check to your realtor so they could get it delivered over to the listing agent. That is your security, right? That is you. That is your collateral of saying, hey, I'm serious about this. Here you go. Your agent gets that over to the listing agent, and then they either hold it, they deposit it, sort of whatever the rule of thumb that they go with on that. But that is very, very important, okay? That is very, very important there, all right? So your first 3 steps, and on the other side, we're going to get to the rest of them. Let your lender know so we can make sure that your dates are all lined up. Get those insurance quotes, and let's get that earnest money deposit to your realtor so it can be delivered to your listing agent. On the other side of the break, we're going to finish up. You're under contract. This is awesome. Now what? After that offer's accepted, we're going to walk you through every step of the way. All right, so we're talking about now I'm under contract. I'm excited. This is awesome. So I'll recap for you again real quick. Number 1, advise your lender that you're under contract so he can review all those important dates. Number 2, get those insurance quotes. we have the total home authority. When you work with Mortgage Gumbo, I love it because y'all call me and you're like, handle it. I want the total home authority experience is what people tell me. Guy told me that yesterday. I'm like, I got you. Get that earnest money deposit to your realtor so they can deliver to the listing agent. Step number 4, get that inspection scheduled. Okay? Again, at Mortgage Gumbo, part of our total home authority is we have inspectors that can get out there very quickly. Keep in mind, as part of your contract, you have an inspection period. This is kind of where the negotiations ramp back up. This is where some of your outs are. You know, this is where the rubber sort of meets the road. This is where the sellers kind of like, kind of biting their nails. You're kind of, got your, what are we going to find out? Is this lipstick on a pig or not, right? But we want to get that inspection done, okay? Because now, you decide the depth of the inspection. If there's a pool, of course. Do I want to get a pool inspection? Do we want plumbing, termite, all those things? There's different levels to that, okay? So you want to get that inspection scheduled. Now, a reminder. We recommend an inspection. We don't require it. We recommend it. We do not require it, okay? Step 5. Get me the docs requested. Now, if you've already been pre-approved with me, it's simple. We're not waiting on anything. If you're fast track approved with us, the listing agent's already got a $5,000 guarantee saying we're going to close on time. All we're waiting on is the inspection to be done and order the title and appraisal. But if there's any additional documents, right? Hey, some cash to close before we, hey, we're going to get money from this account. Maybe we start that process. But get the lender the documents that they're requesting. Then the next step is, now the rubber's meeting the road, right? So now we want to sign those disclosures. We want to sign those disclosures, right? And this should not be many surprises. This is when I usually get the phone calls from the Gumbo Nation when a parent says, can you help my son or help my daughter? Because all of a sudden, this is where the lender who told you were getting 5.5% sends you something and it's got 6.75 on it. This is where you're reviewing the actual loan because now pretend is out the way. Now we've got a house. Now we know exactly what we're doing. Okay? So we want to make sure, get those disclosures. All this should be dialed in. Now you pretty much know what your payment's going to be. Review, next step, review with your realtor your inspection report. Determine if there's any request to replace or repair. And you'll have a couple days to do that. This is a huge piece. Huge. Because like I said, this is your outs. Is there anything major? Is there a roof issue? Right? Is the roof old? Do you want it replaced? Anything, is there electrical? Is it, is it a light switch? Maybe you don't, I'll fix the light switch. But is there anything major? Okay? Then, once you get that and you go, hey, all right, we are now ready to move forward. Well, guess what? As your lender, with us, because you're already pre-approved, we're ordering the appraisal. We will not, as your lender at Mortgage Gumbo, order your appraisal until you tell us you're ready to move forward. Because we don't want you to lose the upper hand, right? If you've ordered the inspection and paid $500, now you're paying for an appraisal at $500-600. Now you're in, now the seller kind of knows you're pot committed. You're kind of all in. So we don't order that appraisal until you're done with all your negotiating of and you say, hey, we're ready to move forward. We're good. All the inspections and all that stuff's handled. So you let us know you're ready to move forward. Okay? Then, when we receive the appraisal back, hey, we're going to go over this with you. If it came back higher, great. If you're paying over maybe what the initial purchase agreement was and it comes back higher, great. We'll add that. Now we'll do that as part of the financing. If it came back lower, we're going to call you. We're going to call the realtor and let you know where that number is. Ask them if they have some comps that they could prove otherwise. But then we turn it over to the realtor and let the professionals, the realtors, go back and forth on it. And this should not be a big number. It should never be coming in $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 short at all. An appraisal's an opinion, but most realtors know what they're doing when they're listing this. So you'll review that, okay? Appraisal comes in, everything's good. At Mortgage Gumbo, guess what? We're getting you locked in. We're locking you in at the lowest rate because we're doing less than a 15-day lock. At that point we lock, we're telling you buy the insurance because we've now got your loan locked. We've submitted the appraisal. We've got everything back up to the underwriting. We know within 24 to 48 hours we're going to have that approval back. So we're bonding the insurance for the closing date that you choose. So many times it's like, well, the seller wants this date and this time. Doesn't matter. It's your big day. The buyer's like the bride. It's your big day. The seller's important, but the seller's kind of like the groom. Dude, you got to be there, but it's whatever the bride wants. So the buyer, you're the bride. So, hey, here's the date. Here's the closing time that you want. Now, at the same time you're doing all that, this is a big part. This is a big part. Make sure that your realtor has got with the listing agent to make sure all the utilities are on and that they're going to be able to be transferred, right? Sometimes we're sitting at the table and they're like, oh, we had it turned off this morning or yesterday. Come on now. So make sure that that is all set up to know. So when you move in, it's simply transferring. You get the utilities in your name, but you're not going into a house with no electricity, no power, no air, no heat, etc. And then get that moving set up, whether it's friends, whether using a national company, whatever you're doing there.
1 minute.
Get that moving company set up. And then, boom, declare to close. You attend the closing. You go through the paperwork. You get everything signed. And then you, congratulations, are a homeowner. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about, great, now bought a house. What next? See, at Mortgage Gumbo, we don't just leave you at the table and go wish you the best. We'll tell you there's a lot of stuff you got to do after that.
30.
But those are the steps. Congratulations. I know there's a lot of you. I got a lot of clients out there looking this weekend. Wish you the best. We're going to walk you through every single one of these steps. Go out. Tell your friends about Mortgage Gumbo and to join the Gumbo Nation. Visit mortgagegumbo.com. Till next week, Gumbo Nation.